Let's all clap it up. Clap it up for the Buffalo Bills, for their baby shit soft Sean McDermott, their head coach, who once again proved that he is a born loser. Philadelphia does not claim Sean McDermott. He is a born loser whose teams will every year find new ways to lose. And this year it was basically because of their MVP quarterback, Josh Allen, who didn't have just one, two, four turnovers in a massive game. Obviously, every playoff game is massive. But this is a team that just finds new ways to choke. If it's not the Chiefs, it'll be somebody else. And that is one of the reasons why entering the playoffs, I said, even though the NFL, not just the AFC, but the NFL is wide open. Like, there's no surefire team. There's no team where you go like, man, like, they're a juggernaut. I'm worried about them. They are the favorite to go to the Super Bowl, because every team I felt like had a question mark. Like, even the Patriots, I went, okay, are they young enough, or are they too young to really truly take that next step into the Super Bowl? Obviously they will, now that they're going to be playing Jarrett Stidham. But the Buffalo Bills should have been that team. The Buffalo Bills not having to face Lamar, not having to face Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, should have been that team that said, you know what, we've been here, we're tried, we're true, and they weren't. And here's my big problem, is the NFL and the media will absolutely praise Josh Allen every chance they get. Josh Allen this, Josh Allen that. He's the MVP. He's the golden boy. He does no wrong. And it's because Josh Allen gives really, really good interviews. He's eloquent. He's well-spoken. He seems to be truly a great guy. Like, in the community, does a lot of charity work, has the movie star wife now who's hot. But, like, he is the NFL golden boy, because the fact is Patrick Mahomes has been very, very cringe. His supporting cast around him, whether it be his father, whether it be his brother, there's a lot of people that just don't like Patrick Mahomes. Combine all of that with Chris Collinsworth, who can't get enough of the guy. It's like a lot of the NFL, and I think the media as well, wanted to move on from Patrick Mahomes because it was clear that the Chiefs dynasty was no more. It had crumbled. The Eagles put an absolute dagger into it. So up steps Josh Allen, the MVP, the reigning best player in the league, who cannot get to the big game, let alone win one. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I know about this life. I know what it's like to watch a truly great quarterback choke under the pressure. When the lights are big, when the lights are the brightest, he just finds ways to not win. And the guy that I'm talking about is obviously Donovan McNabb, who is my favorite quarterback of all time with my favorite franchise. I grew up with McNabb. He is my childhood QB. Most of my childhood, when I think of football, is positive because of Donovan McNabb, okay? But with all of that said, Donovan's biggest problem was when the lights were the brightest, Donovan choked. And I watched the same thing happen with Josh Allen. Now all of a sudden I'm getting names confused. With Josh Allen. And yet the media will be so quick to go like, oh, I feel horrible for Josh Allen. Oh, he got up there in the post-game press conference and said all the right things. I feel terrible for him. No. We don't feel terrible for Josh Allen. We feel terrible for the Denver Broncos, who won that game and then lost their starting quarterback for the rest of the playoffs, and now they have to rely on Jarrett Stidham. That's who we feel bad for. We don't feel bad for the guy who was just chucking the ball all over the place, handing the ball left and right to the defense. We don't feel bad for him. But my big problem with all of this is how it equates to Jalen Hurts. Because while I am over the argument of whether or not Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback, we all know what's going to happen around August. August comes around and there's nothing to talk about in the world of sports, because the only sport really going on is baseball. If your team isn't into it, you're shit out of luck. Even if your team is in the hunt, it's post-trade deadline and you're kind of just waiting for the playoffs to begin. Then you look over at the football media, who truly has nothing to talk about, because even though there are games going on, it's games no one gives a fuck about because it is training camp. It is training camp, it is preseason. You're just at the finish line. You're at that last mile of the 26.2 trying to get to the regular season, because then you'll actually have something to talk about. So what do? We compile these lists, these top 10 quarterback lists, and you're going to have Josh Allen top 3 minimum. And the debate is always going to be whether or not Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback. Now, I think along with most Eagles fans, are over whether or not he's a top 10 quarterback. We just don't care anymore. But the fact is, you're going to have media members arguing about this, and you're going to have opposing fans arguing about this. And in a way, I understand why opposing fan bases are so quick to get on Jalen Hurts. Because if you watch him from a 10-foot pole out, you see a quarterback that is nothing more than a game manager, and that is it, right? Like, he does just enough to win games. Nothing special about him. Okay, fine. If you watch him in a microscope, though, you see the greatness of Jalen Hurts. Now, this isn't to say that Jalen Hurts had a good year, because nobody on the Eagles offense had a good year last year, including Jalen Hurts. But I'll tell you this. What I've seen from Jalen Hurts is his ability to win games with his legs and with his arm. And that's one thing that people truly forget about Jalen Hurts, is that when you're making all these bullshit lists that really in the long run do not matter, because you're going to have a bunch of quarterbacks ranked above him that haven't won jack shit, you forget about the fact that if there's one thing that Steve Spagnuolo and the Kansas City Chiefs defense did in the last Super Bowl, was they were able to take away the biggest weapon for the Eagles last season, and that was Saquon Barkley. Now, they got gashed for 40 points. Can't ignore that. But hey, you can never take it away from them. They took out Saquon Barkley from the game. But what that meant was that Jalen Hurts had to win you the game with his arm, and he did that. And all these people that love shitting all over Jalen Hurts, and the same people that just love praising Josh Allen every chance they get, forget about the fact that Jalen Hurts literally won the biggest game of the year under the brightest of lights. He not only won the game with his arm, he was so efficient in that game that he sat for the last 4 minutes of it. The Eagles pulled their starters from the biggest game of the season. I guess they were waiting for next week's opponent, which wasn't going to happen. That's what I look for. Because I understand the argument by fans on the outside. But when you watch this guy, like I have, and like most Eagles fans have, what you see is a quarterback that is doing whatever the game gives him. Whatever the game is going to give him, that's what he's going to take. Because he's not a one-trick pony. He can kill you with his legs if he has to. He can air it out if he has to. But in the end, he's going to find a way to win. And maybe the most important fact to bring this all back is he does something that Josh Allen, well, I should say, he doesn't do something that Josh Allen did in the biggest game. He doesn't turn the ball over. You know, I couldn't get mad at him for the Chargers game when he had 4 or 5 or whatever it was, turnovers in that game, and the Eagles ended up losing. I couldn't really get mad at him because he never does it. Jalen Hurts ranked 24th in the NFL in turnovers amongst quarterbacks. Again, I'm not telling you he had a good year, but this is consistent. That is the one thing that you can look at from the offense that was consistent to previous seasons. Jalen Hurts not turning the ball over. And in the biggest games of the year, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go, I'm not worried about him turning the ball over. Can you say the same thing about Josh Allen? So when everybody in the offseason gets so quick to just gush all over Josh Allen and rank all these quarterbacks ahead and all that, and the same people will love to shit on Jalen Hurts because they've made a career of it at this point. I'm looking at you, Chris Sims. Just remember the fact that I don't care where you rank him. I really don't, because I'm over the ranking thing. But you also need to recognize what he does well. He doesn't turn the ball over, and he can win games, and he has, and the biggest games, in a multitude of ways. That's what he does. So I understand why people are going to praise Josh Allen, and they will still rank him high and all that bullshit. But at the end of the day, Josh Allen hasn't won jack shit. This was a big year for Josh Allen because the AFC was his to take. And you know what he did? He shit himself on national television. And they lost that game. And you could sit there and you could cry and you could say why they lost the game and the controversial call. The guy had 4 turnovers. If he doesn't have 4 turnovers, they easily win that game and they move on and they're not doing it and they'll be sitting at home. So just remember, when you're quick to praise Josh Allen and then subsequently you shit all over Jalen Hurts, just remember, one guy has a Super Bowl. He also has a Super Bowl MVP. And the other guy has Haley Steinfeld. And I understand a lot of people would go like, I'd rather have Haley Steinfeld. Teach their own, okay? At times I might agree with you. Please subscribe to the channel. Hit thumbs up if you like this. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. You can leave comments if you want, if you disagree or you agree. I just would like to, I wanted to remind everybody. That's all. One guy shits himself on the big stage and the other doesn't. Albeit one guy was home this season because the offense was putrid. But I don't put that on Jalen Hurts. I put that on Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo. Anyway, I'm going to go now. Go Birds.